You don't truly love yourself unless you hate yourself as well. Love and hate are just two sides of the exact same equation. Have a nice 4th of July weekend. Alexandra Mayers.
I got started on this last night, but I got a little emotionally triggered, so we're going to get into it again tonight.
The issue of sexual racism.
It didn't hit me until yesterday how large or how big of a role sexual racism has played in my life, throughout my life. And I'm kind of upset about it. I really am. But then we even have to question, is race even real? Before we even get into sexual racism. But here's what I'll do. I'll review what this individual known as Alexander Leon had to say about sexual racism first, and then we'll get into the topic as to whether or not race is even real. Because the way I feel about it right now, I don't think that race is real. I think evolution is real. And I think that the evolution of what it is to be a hominid is drastically coming into play right now. And I think that is what we are labeling as racism. But I'm not so sure it is racism, specifically due to the element of Neanderthals and the history of Neanderthals and how Neanderthals died out, but how quite a few Homo sapiens today, modern humans, do embody quite a bit of Neanderthal DNA. Actually, when I think about it, there was this one dude I knew named Brian when I lived out in Los Angeles, when I was active in the adult entertainment industry, who I swear he was at least 50% Neanderthal. At least. He might have been 100% when I think about it. He might have been. But yeah, okay, so let's start with these slides that I was going through yesterday. And if you want to look at these yourself, you can find them on Alexander Leon's Twitter. And his Twitter account is at ALEXAND _ ERLEON. And I don't know him. I'm not his friend or anything. I've never chatted with him. But he seems sincere in what he's talking about. But trigger warning, this will definitely trigger you if you're similar to me. Because it triggered me yesterday and it got me very upset. All right, here we go. What is sexual racism? Sexual racism: an individual's inclination towards having sex with or dating someone based on that person's perceived racial identity. It's commonly used to describe the tendency for white people to exclude certain ethnic groups from their sexual and romantic life based on their preference. And as you're about to find out, yes, in a multicultural society, this does count as a form of racism. Sorry, not sorry. So according to Alexander's definition of what sexual racism is, the entire adult entertainment industry's foundation is based upon sexual racism. Now, I've known that forever. Other bloggers have known that forever. But the industry itself does not want to acknowledge or admit this. Here's the next slide. It's just a preference. Jam or marmalade is a preference. Deciding that you're not into an entire ethnic group is not. Unlike preferences around gender, racial preferences and dating are usually considered a result of societal conditioning rather than innate or biological. This means that your attraction or lack thereof to a particular race is not an innate preference, but a learned preference cultivated over a lifetime due to the way you were socialized, and you can unlearn it. This slide is what really made me upset yesterday. But it made me upset for reasons that today I can face, and I couldn't face yesterday. Yesterday I almost had a nervous breakdown, actually. Now this is me being very open and very transparent, maybe more so than I should be. But I know I'm not the only person in the world who's had this kind of life experience I'm about to share with any of you. I thought for quite a few years, and still, there's no way to know that this particular guy, Alexander Leon, is totally on point. I'm just going to tell you what I've come, the conclusion I've come to though, okay? For many years, I felt like I was just one of those people to where I just gravitated towards my opposite when it came to dating, relationships, whatnot. I've dated black men in the past, but I've never had a long-term relationship with a black man. Never have. And I always chalked it up to just being attracted to my opposite for whatever reason. I always felt like, well, I guess some people are just like that. I rationalized it to not having a proclivity for incest, which still could be valid. But I just always kind of even wondered about myself. I was like, why am I like this? It's because of my parents and what they did to me. Now, I do not hate my parents. I believe that my parents put me in an environment and cultivated me in a fashion that they felt was in my best interest. It was not. If you are African American and you have children, do not raise your children in an all-white neighborhood. Don't do it. It's gonna fuck up their heads. All right? Now, I did mean it when I said that, said on my Twitter earlier today, that I'm not going to label myself black anymore. I'm labeling myself as a human being. I'm going to try my best not to acknowledge race so much anymore because it's been too much of an issue in my life and it's making me too angry. The level of anger actually that I'm feeling when it comes to racial issues, specifically revolving around Black Lives Matter, and just the level of anger that I have towards black males in particular right now, it's off the charts and it's not healthy for me. So I have to work through this in some way. And maybe these podcasts will help. Hopefully they don't harm. But getting back to what I was saying, I was not socialized correctly. And I think it may be too late in my life for me to unlearn certain things. And I think that my life would have been tremendously different if I had not been isolated for so many years from people who are genetically closer to my appearance. That's what I think. I also don't think I would have gone into the adult entertainment industry. I'm angry with black men right now because I feel that black males abandoned me throughout my life. I don't just feel that way, I know it. And I think a lot of black males in America need to rethink their mindsets as well. because black males who look along the lines that I do often are not attracted to black females that look along the lines that I do. They're more attracted to multiracial females, women who have like a Kim Kardashian look. And I feel like that stems toward them disliking their own mothers. So I guess that is why I'm comfortable talking about my own history and my own feelings and things that I think are dysfunctional within myself, because I'm not the only one. Not at all. I'm very upset when it comes to black males in America, because when I left the adult entertainment industry, I put a lot on the line to speak out and to protect other black women from following my path, sharing a similar fate to me. But really, a lot of you black men out there who are very aware of me, you didn't reach out any motherfucking helping hand. And then you like to trash talk women like me. Well, fuck you. Seriously. And that's why I just feel like, you know, on one hand, sure, sexual racism could be real, but on the other hand, is race itself even real? You can look at it in a multitude of ways, but I'm going to look at it in a way for I don't know how long, indefinitely, possibly for the rest of my life, to where maybe there are certain types of people that do need to die out because they don't seem to serve much of a purpose. Black men. Anyway, let's continue. The way I was socialized. Yep. And this is where I feel like this Alexander Leon guy is talking directly to me. It's strange. You likely grew up in a world where white people were celebrated as the default and only type of attractive. White supremacy extends out to the media, fashion, and popular culture. You literally can't escape it. And I was put in an environment where I couldn't escape such a thing. I was basically taught to hate myself. I love myself. I think I look great. But there is a part of me that hates myself, and there's nothing I can do about it. Imagine how many times the idea that white equals attractive was implicitly reinforced into you growing up. Every motherfucking day. The models you saw in advertisements. The leading actors in Hollywood films. This gets compounded if you grew up in a predominantly white area. Don't do to your daughters what was done to me. Please don't. It's very cruel. Very cruel. I mean, why? That's why I can understand supremacist groups in a certain way, but I hate them in other ways. Because by design, integration was created to obliterate what looks like me, because it forced an individual who looks like me to hate themselves. I mean, okay, let's look at that girl Candace Owens, right? She'll never say it. I hope she never says it. If she does, it's going to blow some people's minds. But for her, Blexit, look, that movement that she put together, she's not just talking about leaving a democratic plantation. She's leaving being black altogether. She's positioned herself to where she's like, I'm going to be a leader for the blacks who want to be Republican. Sure, okay, on the surface. But she's not with an African American guy. Her children, if she has any, will be as much white as they will be what she is. So she yeah. And she's not the only one who's done that. Not at all. So this guy's right. This guy's right. Types of sexual racism. Sexual racism, like any form of racism, is destructive and complex. Besides discounting certain ethnic groups from your dating pool, it also comes in other forms. Sexual stereotyping. Making sexual assumptions about someone based on stereotypes associated with their ethnic background. For example, Asian women being submissive, black men being dominant. Fetishization, probably didn't say that right. Reducing someone down to radicalized aspects of their appearance that you find attractive in order to fulfill a sexual fantasy. I feel like I've been nothing but a fetish for people my entire freaking life. Starting even from childhood. Alright, so anyway, this guy, it seems like he can't come up with some solutions. What do I do? Reflect on your own behavior. Seek out books, podcasts, and other media on racism, and consider how else white supremacy may have seeped in and created unchecked biases in your life. Even places where you don't expect it, like your dating life. Call it out. If you hear white friends expressing that they're just not into black guys or similar, shut it down. Same with people expressing racial preferences on dating apps. Hold yourself and other white people to account on their behavior so that black and brown people don't have to. The only mistake that this guy made in his little slides, in his graphics that he is trying to enlighten people with, is that he's only talking to white people. He probably needs to talk more to African Americans than anybody else. So this podcast didn't exactly go in the direction that I thought it was going to go. And I'm not going to talk about, well, I will talk about this one thing though. I want to read a bit of an article from The Atlantic. It's titled, "It Wasn't Just Neanderthals, Ancient Humans Had Sex with Other Hominids." Because I think it's time to redefine, maybe, what we're really looking at when we're looking at Black Lives Matter. I think we're looking more at the dying out of a certain type of hominid than we are looking at racism, because there have been scientific studies that talk about how you can't even quantify race. There's an article on National Geographic. It's titled, "There's No Scientific Basis for Race. It's a made-up label." It's been used to define and separate people for millennia, but the concept of race is not grounded in genetics. And I think that the people who subscribe to that are right. I think that they're right. And I guess some people would be like, well, you're kind of racist against yourself. Maybe I am, but there's nothing I can do about it. Not at this stage in the game. I was thinking today, actually, I'm like, I kind of might as well be dead. Because I don't have any kids. So I don't have a horse in this race. I don't care. I just look at how I was treated throughout my life. I look at what I've had to deal with and what I've had to contend with. I don't want anyone else to feel how badly I felt about myself. I hate it. I really do. And I'm thinking maybe I don't have kids because what this is not supposed to continue. You know, they say that whenever something is about to die, it screams the loudest.
Nest. I know, but it's safe. Look, they sprayed inside, now outside, and I got nowhere else to go! I don't know. Oh, come on, I'm dying here! Looks like we all are! Ready?
Maybe that's what Black Lives Matter is. Maybe it doesn't matter. Why is it so important for Black people to continue into the future? What's the reason? I mean, it's just skin color. Do we need this anymore? Really? Do we? We have houses where we're not out in the sun all the time. I'm not sure that that damn Candace Owens speech stuck in my head. I was thinking about that today when she was talking about in this recent speech, and there's a link to it actually that I'm going to put up over on Political News Time. She was talking about slavery not starting in the United States, because it's true. Africans were enslaving each other for a long time, and why were we doing that? Is that something that needs to continue into the future? I don't think so. I hate talking like this, but I don't think that what I look like is supposed to be in the future, because if I was, wouldn't I have a kid? Wouldn't some motherfucker on this planet have managed to get me to have this kid, but it never happened? So I think the word race needs to be replaced with hominid. Classifications of hominid. Scientists have collected evidence for years that modern humans interbred with our ridge-browed Neanderthal ancestors in Eurasia. But in Africa, where the Homo sapiens species is said to have emerged, a lack of genetic evidence has left researchers scratching their heads about exactly how we came to beat out not only the Neanderthals or Homo neanderthalis, but also the archaic species like Homo erectus and Homo habilis. A new paper published by Michael Hammer from the University of Arizona, however, provides new evidence that Homo sapiens not only interbred with Neanderthals in Eurasia, they also had sex with several species of our ancestors across the African continent, and they did it often. We think there were probably thousands of interbreeding events, said Hammer. It happened relatively extensively and regularly. So we're just continuing that pattern.